And we're back with episode 16. Okay, this is the third take. The first two takes I said 15. Apparently, I don't know how many episodes I made. this is bonkers. Yeah, just checking. It's right. It's 16. It is a bit tricky because I'm actually recording 17. Because it's going to be around note taking. But I'm taking a different approach from the one that I made previously, where I show things move. And the reason for that is it became too long and too difficult to edit. And after seeing it, I had mixed feelings about it. So I want to see if I can improve that that experience. Now, one point, and let's transition this and let's start with something really cool. Okay, really awesome. So there are a lot of bugs to cover this week. Just to mention a few, SharePoint has a code injection and a bypass to the destabilization issue that was published a while back. Go to Anywhere by Fortra is also under fire. There's also bugs on Sitecore with destabilization as well on multiple products. WhatsApp is also added again. Citrix also having a few issues in here on the gateway and the NetScaler, which serves as a gateway, VPN, and a lot of other things. So it's a perimeter thing, the thing that should never be vulnerable to anything. Yikes. That is going to be a cool one to replicate if you have access to that. Android has user after free, but we're going to skip some of those. I'm going to put the CVs for those just in case you missed it. But now, let's take a few hits at Microsoft because that is fun. I'm waiting for the day to get in trouble with that. Okay, so Microsoft patches a critical Intra ID flaw. How critical this one was? 10. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's here. The beautiful number 10. Ha ha ha. CVS 10. Now this reads like sci-fi. What are we talking about here? We're talking about a validation issue. Yes. It fails to validate the originating tenant while using the legacy Azure Graph API. Okay, this uses an undocumented API. It was also the source of a talk at DEF CON and Black Hat. I'm going to include the links for that in the video. You should read it. It is awesome. It is awesome. It's meant to be fixed, but knowing Microsoft the way we do, right? We can go on a limb and say there's probably more where that came from. So what are we talking about here? Under a specific condition, when you're in hold of a piece of information together with the token, you can make the API to lure the API. That was the word we're looking for. Lure the API into allowing you to have access to another tenant, infrastructure. Yes, it is a bonkers. It's also mentioned that there are little to no details left behind. So the information is the information of the attack related to the attack itself is not easy to find. Although one of the proof of concepts was essentially the creation of a user, but the paper mentions, and the proof of concept achieves that by impersonating a global admin on an infrastructure for which you're not meant to have access. So in theory, you can have access to anyone's infrastructure on Azure. Yeah, that bad. This is serious. Okay. So I'm wondering how long this was being used by threat actors. We'll never know, will we? So the cloud can't be trusted. What else is new? It's not. There are several issues flying around in recent years, right? Microsoft failing to. This is actually the second time they failed to properly validate the authentication tokens. If we recall, there was another issue some time ago related to an obsolete set of keys, expired set of keys, key set, and ultimately, based on what I've heard, they were not even doing a cryptographic validation of those. That bad. Okay, what else is new? We're going to talk about, then we're going to change gears here because before we do, well, let's see, there was a mention here of something really awesome. Okay, apparently Chrome's also under fire, and there was a mention about NPM here. It's not here anymore. Apparently it reached another sky high value, plus 180 plus. I think it was way more than that. Yeah, I'm waiting for the day where Rust is going to suffer from the same. Because it follows the same philosophy from what I heard. Like you can download pretty much half of the web on something similar. I would have guessed. I need to take a look at Rust though to make a better opinion on it. I heard it's really good to do bypasses because it's bonkers to reverse. Okay, European Cyber Agency says the airport software held to ransom by criminals. Oh, Europe Cyber Agency, what a joke. Yeah. Okay. If you know, I'm not into these. I believe that if you're really good at something, you won't go to politics. You only go to politics if you're really bad at everything. Like you don't have no skills whatsoever. Okay, you're basically useless, a nuisance, essentially. You have no brain, no working brain. Then you decide, okay, either I starve to death, or I'll go to politics. And some will starve to death. The remaining ones will go to politics. At least that's my perspective. And so I don't have any hopes of anything from that realm. So what they say is that cyber criminals are using ransomware to cause chaos in airports around the world. Yes, they are, because those things are running in Jurassic pieces of software. And some of the software they're using is so bad that is probably it was created even before cybersecurity was a thing. Security or IT security was handled by one of the support guys who were actually pretty good at dealing with AVs. Yes, those days were fun. And so it is around chaos around Europe, and some of the Europe's busiest airports. Even before this, I traveled a number of times recently. Recently been traveling a bit more, and I can tell you that much is no fun. Comparing it with a few years ago, it's horrible. There's no food in the planes anymore. If you travel, if like me, you have food restrictions, you're pretty much screwed because you'll starve for every time I go to the US, I'll starve for 12 hours at least. So I'll arrive barely, I will arrive to the other side barely alive, with my stomach glued to my back. It's horrible, because there's essentially no food, and most of the time they don't even allow you to choose foods anymore. So it's deplorable. The space is horrible. You don't have. I'm a small person. Okay, so I'm extremely small. I'm not that big. Of a guy, and my knees hit the front seat. Yeah, it's one of those times where you actually feel like, oh, if I only I was shorter, even shorter than I am, at least for a little while, that would probably be a lot better. But zooming in and going back here, want to keep these episodes shorter. Trying to do that. See, the cybersecurity agency here is trying to scramble to automate do some automatic checks on systems. Now that everything's under fire, that everything's basically caught fire, there's chaos all around. Oh, let's see if we can check these things. There's nothing to check. They're built. They were built before time was created. They're Jurassic. Most of them don't have anything related to security or good security posture or safe code development embedded into them because they are that old. And based on what I heard, and throwing out something positive at this, not just to put everything even more down than they already are, it's no easy feat, okay? Even if you consider the integration, the level of integration that is required in the amount of concurrent access to a particular resource from every single company trying to, let's say, book a plane, book a seat on a plane concurrently, right? From traveling agencies, the own airline, and the partnerships, all trying to have access to that very same resource. It is by itself a very interesting challenge from the engineering, software engineering perspective. So they have their own stuff, but it was built before security was a thing. And most of these, this industry is pretty much as close to the IoT as we can get. Okay, they rely on the fact that most of these systems remained obscure and inaccessible for a long time. Now, the close proximity with the client and having a lot of these features exposed online, like the online check-ins and so on, they will expose the systems to the over the internet. Actually, overexpose them because they were already there to some point. And also considering that some of these airlines migrated from their own on-premise onto the cloud. Now, considering all the cloud outages and hacks that we've seen in recent years, we don't need to go that far to start speculating about the fact that there are a lot of threat actors that might have a lot of juicy information about these systems, even if we exclude the fact that some of them may actually be backdoored. But we're reaching the tinfoil hat here. So let's go back to the news. So we're going to have a lot of flights been discontinued. There's a continued disruption. The U.S. software maker Collins Aerospace was discovered on Friday night and resulting in a disruption. Although Reuters also says that they don't know where this started. Yeah, right. We all know what that means. Reuters actually does takes a different perspective at here because they mentioned a number of airports. British Airways here canceled. I was recently on a flight inside British Airways flight, actually a Virgin flight. It was not British Airways. The Virgin flight that took me to the US was grounded for 2 hours because the radar in the UK was out. Yes, you heard me correctly. The radar of the airport was not working. The thing that is used to track the planes was not working. And apparently they don't have a backup because all landings and takeoffs were halted. Sometimes this feels like a bad cartoon plot. So one of the busiest airports, there's a lot of angry people in here. But the reason why I want to call out to this article is because it has some history. So if we look in here, we have September 22, 2025 with drone incursion on the Danish and Norwegian airspace. This is a fairly dangerous thing. It also happened in Lisbon for a number of times now. And in the Lisbon airport is in the middle of Lisbon because we are crazy in that way. I still don't understand why they don't solve this problem. Because let's face it, usually these drones are pretty easy to take down. I don't know. It's too ridiculous. Brussels Airport, 25 flights, cyber attack targeting onboard systems. The provider Collins Airspace, owned by RTX, had disruptions in London, Heathrow, and Berlin airports in Brussels. Yikes. Okay. Onboarding systems. What kind of testing are you doing? If you're a provider for an aerospace, like stuff that if they fall out of the sky, a lot of people die. And you suffer not one issue, but one issue severe enough to cripple more than one airport. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, this is again a telltale sign of another telltale sign of how wrong things are with software development. And I hate to be actually I don't the source of bad news, but as I usually say, pepper on someone else's rear end is a refreshment for everyone else, at least for everyone that is doing assessments and red teamings. Because the only way apparently to promote change is by basically doing that, just making sure there's a lot of heat on those rear ends. Because there is no excuse for this, okay? And with everyone saying, oh, let's put AI in charge now and put it to produce code, because that thing learned from everything that is online. And we all know how trustworthy everything that is online is, right? And how trustworthy we are at producing code. So anything we produce can only get smarter. It doesn't fit my head. I had a number of debates with a few friends of mine that say, oh, this is going to be, it's going to become better than us. Why? Why is it getting, why? It will become faster, but why? How is something that was created and learned from our mistakes going to get better than we are? If we're doing it by hand with a financial incentive, and even then, we have stuff that runs airline systems or support systems or onboarding, whatever random name they decide to put in here, vague enough for us to not know exactly what it is. It's pretty much broken and affected a number of the airports. And apparently, it got so bad that the backups were rendered obsolete, inoperant. So we are seeing here, going back onto the to the timeline here, we have March 2025, substation fire, London Heathrow, US cancellations, United Airlines, Asia, Europe, and a lot of airline carriers, including Ryanair. Ryanair, that airline that once forgot to fuel the plane and had to come back. Yes, my father was on that plane once. It's horrible. CrowdStrike, we all remember that, right? Boom, blue screen of death because you don't know what the null pointer is. Oh, but it's not a memory corruption bug. It was just a null point, whatever. Oh, seriously. Okay. And the CrowdStrike, that is, I'm never taking that one away. Global outage. And if that was not bad enough for us to understand that we have all our eggs inside the same basket. Okay, so we're throwing away years and years of engineering and good practices out the window. So these eruptions go way back. Okay, and this article goes back all the way back to 2023. And it's no surprise. To me, it's no surprise because I know for a fact that some of these systems are pretty old, like as old as time almost. Well, probably before than that. And I'm obviously being exaggerating here, but they're old, like really old. And the fact that they're pretty challenging, and these days no one likes a challenge, right? Makes it so that they're going to live a very long time. Not a healthy one though. But they're getting exposed. So we're going to see the weaknesses in here. And we're also going to see something else. Okay, it's going to be my closing remarks here. We're going to see how ineffective and how inoperant everything that will try to manage this mess really is. Because we know that we are all running obsolete and vulnerable software all around our house on every single device that is plugged into a network. Okay. We also know now that there even fridges are going to, there are talks about fridges getting publicity because it was not enough to put screens on them because, hey, you might be standing in front of your fridge for long enough to see an ad. And we also know that this is a known issue. The issue of vulnerable software and maintenance, maintenance of software, even if it's embedded or not, it is a challenge. It's an actual challenge because, as I said before, developing something new is cheap. The problem becomes when you want to maintain it. Because once you start the maintenance phase, you're not selling. Okay, you're doing work for free. And you need to come up with features to sell the next version. Software as a service was meant to solve this. But apparently it's not really working, is it? Because every single piece of software that we're starting to see that comes out as a service is probably even more vulnerable than its local version. And that's going to be it for this week. Take a look at these. Take a look at these deserialization issues. Apparently, they're on the rise again. And if you manage to crack a POC, put me in the loop. Dying to see that thing go boom. See you on the next one. Stay frosty.